it a shot. I don't have a speech, I just have some bullet points that I want to touch on. First and foremost, thank you all for coming. I know it's the day before Thanksgiving, I know it's the middle of the daytime. Brian told me not to go too far from the X or I'd pull the cord out. I just felt that. This is brutal. I didn't think it'd be this hard. So, thank you all for coming. We greatly appreciate it. I didn't, there's a lot of people here. I didn't think, when you have these things, you don't know, is anybody gonna show up? Really. This is way more people than I thought. So, for whatever reason you're here, thank you. This is a curveball. Everybody would look at that wall of honor. That went up this morning. I pulled in at 8 o'clock and it was planned, it was going to be installed next week, maybe the week after. Brian Feeney is the creator of that. That is a wall of honor to everybody who ever retired in good standing. Brian designed it, it's awesome, the PBA put it up. I had to move the walkout date up to today because of some family obligations next week. I couldn't get the kids here. And Brian being Brian, moved the whole thing up a week, and there it is. So if you know somebody retired from here, they retired in good standing, and everybody from this point forward that retires in good standing, they will appear on that wall of honor, which is the front side wall of our gym edition that we did a couple years ago. Thank you to Signorama for enduring Brian. Probably had to threaten some people to get that up. So thank you, Signorama. Thank you, PMZ Landscaping. Joe Zaccarino, huge supporter of the police, did that landscaping for us free of charge, as Joe is known to do. And the electrical work that'll appear there will be done by Chudley Electric, Lou Chudley, Roxbury guy who's done a lot of work for us. So, Brian and all the guys, thank you for that wall. It's not for me, but thank you that wall is up today for this walkout. Okay, give this a shot. You can't thank everybody because you're going to forget somebody. So I'm going to throw out one gigantic blanket thank you. If you are even the least bit responsible for me standing here today, I don't care if you were prior to my law enforcement career, during my law enforcement career, in this building, in another agency, I am here because of a lot of help. A lot of people in law enforcement imparted knowledge on me. So thank you to you all. It would be an insult to name you all because I know I would forget somebody important and that would be terrible. A couple of thank yous I have to go direct though. Chief Knoll obviously hired me. Back in the 90s, nobody was hiring early on. So when it came time to get hired, there were thousands and thousands of people trying to get police jobs. Thousands. I showed up to the written exam at Roxbury. I didn't know Chief Knoll, I didn't know Marc. 408 people were there. They hired one. Thank you for whatever you saw amongst those other 407 people that you chose me, you hired me, you took me under your wing, and as you used to say, you raised us from a pup. What we do here, Marc Knoll built, all we're doing is holding the place for the next guys. We are the Roxbury Police Department because of that guy. And nobody will dispute that. Simo, I don't know if you're here. Simo's here somewhere. Simo, I have to thank Simo. I'm doing 3 thank yous. Chief Knoll, Chief Simo. Simo was the guy, little Italian kid from Necon, who grew up amongst my relatives. I knew him when he was a 15, 16-year-old kid. He used to play baseball with my cousins. He lived in the neighborhood with some of my cousins. That's how I knew him. I didn't really know him so much as a police officer. I just knew him as Simo. He knew I was looking for a job. He knew they were hard to come by. He says, "Hey, Palanchi, we're gonna give a test in the spring. We have an awesome chief. We have an awesome department. I think you'd fit because I think you should take our test." So, Simo, thank you for that advice, and thank you for everything you did for me after I walked in the door here and taking me under your wing and showing me the ropes. Lastly, family, when you are the family of a police officer who lives in the town and works in the same town, which a few of these guys are going to find out the hard way because they now are settled here and they're starting to have kids. When you have a family in the town that you're a police officer in, your family has a completely different life. A lot of rules that maybe other people don't have, but I can assure you this, when you are the family of the chief of police in the town you live in, you definitely have a lot of rules that other people don't have. These kids got a lot of no, with no explanation. Can I go to so-and-so's house? No. Had nothing to do with the kid that they were friends with, but through institutional knowledge, I knew that the older brother or older sister wasn't a good person and had bad friends, and they'd be hanging out there, and I wasn't going to let my kids hang out in that environment. But you couldn't tell them that because you knew that because of fear. So they faced a lot of those inquiries with just no. As the chief, a pandemic hit, we followed the rules. I didn't like the rules. I don't like the rules now. We followed them because I'm the chief of police, and how do you not? I can't have my man Jim Craig, the town nurse, calling me up and saying, "Hey, Mark, we're back tracing this COVID outbreak, and I got 6 Palanchi names on the list. You're the chief of police. You're not even enforcing the guidelines." So we did. We just, no, that's what they got. Social unrest hit. They wanted to back us. I said, lay low. Because wearing this shirt can get you in a lot of trouble if you're in the wrong place as a kid. So they have endured a very difficult time as a family, as do all police officers' families. I'm just speaking for mine. So, guys, you are free. You can rob banks. You can hold up liquor stores. You can run from the cops at the parties that I didn't let you go to. You are on your own. Feel free.
That's great.
I cannot believe, people ask me, what's it feel like? I cannot believe how fast it went. I started my 28th year August 1st. I was about 3 shifts in the locker room, and 2 guys were in that locker room, and I can remember the conversation like it just happened this morning. Glenn Schomer, Glenn was our paramedic, and Glenn is the guy, if you've ever been a member of the YMCA, Glenn's the old guy at the YMCA that walks around with no clothes on in the locker room talking like he's fully clothed. That was Glenn. So Glenn's standing next to me in the old building, and I'm just trying to get dressed. Your first couple shifts, you don't have to put the belt on. And he says, hey kid, how's it going? I said, it's good, it's only been a couple shifts. He goes, yeah? Don't blink. It's gonna be over before you know it. He goes, trust me. Over before you know it. He goes, don't get caught up in anything. Don't miss a second of it. Enjoy it. Take it from an old guy. It's awesome. And I'm standing there thinking, I'm 3 shifts in. This guy's talking 25 years out. Well, we're almost 28 years out. And he's absolutely right. It could not have gone faster. The other guy in the locker room was Glenn Gordon. He came over to me and said, hey, welcome to the best police department in the state of New Jersey. He goes, and congratulations on the best career you'll ever have. 2 guys that hit it right on the head. I can remember the day I was hired. I was in Lake Opac painting a Victorian mansion. I was about 40 feet in the air. We didn't have a ladder that reached, and I was trying to get it finished. So we had this ingenious, I had this ingenious idea. I can't blame the other guy I was with. I was just waiting to hear about this job. So I'm trying to finish up my job. I'm hoping they're going to hire me. So I couldn't reach, so I climbed out the 3rd story of this Victorian mansion. I put on a weight belt. I tied a rope around it. The guy I was with took a 2x4. He held it against the inside of the window trim. We tied the rope around that 2x4. I stepped out on this ledge and I'm painting. And as I'm painting, I hear, "Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy." And I do one of these because it's terrible. And I see Simo, who was a sergeant, and Gary Griffin, who was the captain. I said, "What?" He goes, "Get down from there before you get hurt. The manager approved your hire. You're swearing in tomorrow, you start the academy in 2 weeks." That's how I found out that I was hired here. The next day, I show up in my suit at the old building for the swearing in. And my swearing in was legitimately a swearing in. You know what's coming. John Simone, who I didn't know at the time, John was there. He's in his suit. We're going to go over to the old municipal building, which is Horseshoe Lake, and we're going to get sworn in. He's going to get sworn as a sergeant. I'm getting sworn as a patrolman. We walk in the building. Mr. Bedini was a councilman. He might have been the mayor. And he says, "Oh, what's going on here, fellas?" And Chief Knoll says, "We're swearing in a new sergeant and a new patrolman." New patrolman? I don't know anything about hiring a new patrolman. He goes, Chief Knoll goes, No, we worked it out with Mr. Webb. He was hired on a grant. We've been through all this. We got the okay yesterday. We're swearing him in today." He goes, "I don't know about that, Chief." Because we need to talk to Mr. Webb. Those of you that are familiar with Horseshoe Lake, Mr. Webb's office was Brett Douglas's office now, which is the Director of Recreation. I see Marc Knoll, well, I don't know Marc Knoll at that point. I see his eyes, he's wearing glasses, I see his eyes light up. They go into that office, they shut that Luan door, and that's where the swearing in started. And it was chaos. And John is standing right here in his suit. I don't know if he remembers this or not, but I'm looking for some reassurance. Like, am I not getting hired? And I looked at John, and I didn't know John or his sense of humor, and I don't know if he was kidding. And he looks up at me, he goes, "Yeah, maybe you get that job painting back." And I'm looking at him like, not what I'm looking for. That day, that was my introduction to the Roxbury Police Department. That was August 1st, 1994. It went fast. Why did it go fast? People ask you. You know what? The same time flies when you're having fun. Absolutely 100% applies to this place. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun from day one till day today. We laughed. We laughed every shift. We laughed hysterically. We belly laughed. We laughed till we cried. We laughed until we couldn't breathe. We laughed. We had a blast. We had a lot of fun. Pranks like you've never seen that'll die with some of us because there's statute of limitations. Graphic arts. Some of these guys are absolutely wasting their time as police officers. They should be graphic artists doing commercial design. Because if they get a hold of a headshot of you, they can put it seamlessly on just about anything, including 2 weeks ago when they put my head on Schwarzenegger, Dean's head on DeVito, and hung it up in the thing for twins. Nobody's safe here. Nobody's safe. Correct, Chief Knoll? Nobody's safe. The roll call challenges. Not going to talk about them. Ask these guys. What is a roll call challenge? And ask them to explain those to you. Although we had fun, we had warped sense of humor, we did things differently. When it came time to get the job done, we did it as good or better than anybody. The camaraderie here is off the charts. At work, we ate together, we met for coffee together, we talked about family stuff, we talked about each other, we just talked, we just laughed, we laughed about the call we were just at, whatever it was. Again, camaraderie, we met, we shared, we laughed. Outside of work, there was outing with the squad, there was outing with the families of the squads. There's get-togethers that we just got to know each other, and we had a unit. Our unusual sense of humor and our unusual camaraderie was vital to maintaining our sanity. We face a lot of tragedy and a lot of sadness in this job. These guys do, all police do. We faced it in the building. We lost loved ones, mothers, fathers, siblings, babies. We lost one of our own, Kyle. We almost lost some others. Cancer, heart attacks, accidents. We always rallied around whoever that person was and did whatever they needed us to do to help them get through it. John lost his wife. Watching that department pull together to help him through that time, you knew that there wasn't anything we couldn't do to help somebody. As police, that's what we do. We help people who can't help themselves, but also, really well, we help each other. There was tragedy and sadness outside the building, on the calls. Listen, nobody calls us up and says, hey, everything's going really well. Just wanted to let you know. If you want to stop by, we'll have cake and coffee. I'll tell you how great it is. Nobody calls the police for that. Excuse me, it is running now out of control. We face a lot of tragedy. We face a lot of sadness. They all do. All police do. It's probably our primary responsibility, handling tragedy, sadness, helping people who are in the midst of it. For you to understand what police do, you have to be there where we are. My first notification of death came from an out-of-state agency that called up and said, hey, there's a kid from your town, he goes to school in our town, he was killed in an accident. We need you to notify the family. They assigned me that. I'm new. They assigned me that maybe a year on. Okay, who is it? They gave me the name. I know the kid. I graduated high school with his sister, and I worked with his mother. And now I'm going up the sidewalk and knock on that door and destroy that family's life. It's awful. It takes a chunk out of you every time you do it. And it never gets better. It's awful. Get a medical call at my next door neighbor's house. He's sick with cancer. Adam Del Gersio and I showed up. I don't think Adam's here today. Adam's in quarantine, I believe, or he's, oh, Adam, good for you. Oh, the quarantine guys are here. I didn't see you over there. So you're not following rules. Dino's already lost control of the ship. I'm going to be a director here in 6 months. Adam shows up with me. My next door neighbor, Mario, and we're helping him, and he's sick, but he's talking to us, and it's tough, but we're going to transport him. And we pick him up. He is talking to Adam and I, and dies in our arms. My next door neighbor, brutal. It takes a chunk out of you. It takes a chunk out of you when you go to a terrible accident on Route 206 3 days before Christmas, and you have to then deal with that scene, and then you have to go knock on the door and tell the husband and 5 kids that their mother's not coming home. It takes a chunk out of you. The worst that I can remember in terms of just how hard it hit me, and this is the last one. Dino was with me. Kyle was with me. Christmas Eve into Christmas morning, 2:30 in the morning, just trying to get through the night and go home in 3 hours. Get a cardiac arrest. Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. We're 3 hours from getting off. Cardiac arrest. We go through the front door. This frantic young mother is freaking out. Help him, help him, help him. There's a young father who was just playing Santa Claus for his kids, putting the presents under the tree, so when they woke up in the morning, it looked like Santa Claus was there, and he had a heart attack. And he literally went down right underneath the tree. We did CPR on him by literally pulling him out from under that tree, and we did what we could do. We couldn't save that guy. And as we're pumping and pumping and pumping, and the wife, it's so frantic and chaotic, I looked over and I saw his little kids. And they're standing there staring at you. You're just like, there's nothing, you know you're not going to save them. There's nothing you can do. take care of what we take care of, we comfort them the best we can, and we leave. And 3 hours later, I'm sitting in my own living room with my young wife and my young kids, watching them open their presents and celebrate Christmas. And all you can think about is how different that Christmas and every Christmas will be for those young kids. It takes a chunk out of you. Our sense of humor and our camaraderie is what gets us through those. We deal with good people who make bad decisions and ruin their lives and ruin the lives of others. I impart that on my kids every chance I get. You can destroy your entire life in one night. In 1 hour, in one decision, you can destroy your entire life by just making that one bad decision. We deal with innocent victims who are just in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it takes a chunk out of you. We deal with bad people who do bad things to people, and because sometimes the legal system just doesn't work, nothing happens to those people. It takes a piece of you to see those poor people not get the justice that they should. Marc Knoll said to me very early on, Palanchi boy, there are bad people in this world who do bad things to people, and they belong in handcuffs, and they belong in jail cells, and it is our responsibility to make sure that they end up in both. That's why we do this. And that is the actual fact of what this job is. When people say, do you need the police? Do we defund the police? Do we get rid of the police? Who's going to do that if we don't? Who's going to do it if these guys don't? All those people out there, those uniformed guys, who's going to do that if they don't? Who's showing up at those houses? It's not, we don't get shot at. There's not bank robberies. I'd rather be shot at, I'd rather go to a bank robbery than go make that notification. This place wasn't only fun to work at, this was a great place to work. When I was younger, first 3-4 years, we didn't even use all of our vacation time. We gave it back. Because, I know these young guys, what? Relax, we don't make you do that anymore. Well, they didn't make us do it then. We did it by choice. We had FOMO. Before it was FOMO. The fear of missing out. There was no way we're taking a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday night off in the summer and then come in and find out all that happened and all that we missed. So we just came to work. And they're like, well, you're running out of time. You got to take your days off. I don't want to take them. I wasn't the only one. The young guys did it. That's what we did. We didn't want to miss the opportunity to work a shift. We just loved coming in, and we knew how much fun we were going to have. I worked with fantastic people. Inside this police department, great leaders, great sergeants. Great sergeants who let us work, who let us learn, who let us make mistakes, corrected them, but let us do the job and prepared us to do the job. I worked with great senior men, guys that had experience, years of service, and imparted knowledge on us. I worked with fantastic people in the Township of Roxbury, the municipal government. Town hall people, DPW, recreation, all the departments. There are a bunch of really fantastic people working for the Township of Roxbury, and they make it a pleasure to come to work with no matter who of them you're dealing with. Almost done. As a chief, these guys made it easy. Anybody who's retired since I've been the chief, they made it easy. Give them what they need and stay the heck out of their way. Most of them are smarter than I am. They didn't need me. They just needed me to provide whatever it was to get the job done. And then they went and did it, and they did it as well as anybody. I worked for 2 extremely supportive township managers, which isn't the case all the time in the police world. Mr. Rass, Mr. Shepard. I worked for a council that was 100% behind us and our mission here whether it's the current councilman or someone that have come and gone since I've been the chief. But most importantly, I worked for a community that was supportive of this department and supportive of our mission and embraced us. Without the management, without the council, and without the community, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So thank you for that support from everybody who's behind the Roxbury Police Department. I'm asked, would you do it again? Knowing what you know now, knowing of all the changes, would you do it all again? I would sign up, knowing what I know right now, I would sign up faster the second time than I did the first time. I cannot imagine doing anything else for the last 28 years. I am blessed to have worked here. I am blessed that God put me in this place for His plan. I pray for these guys to have an awesome career, a safe career. I pray that they get to stand here, all of you, when it's your day, and reflect upon your career and think of the stuff, think of this place as highly as I think of this place, and to have the experience that I had working here. Thank you.